Barakallah. Have a good night. Gotta take an attack, right? Fadal. Any questions? If not, alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Khalas.
Initials IA from Toronto, Canada. What is considered soft living in the West? And practical tips to make sure we don't fall into it.
The question says, what is considered to be israf living in the West? Israf living in the West. Obviously, the questioner has a specific intention, but just for clarification, is no different than israf living in the East. I don't think that's what the questioner means, but many people, they think this, that this is piety in the West and over there it's different. Or it's haram to do this here, but it's over there it's different. There's riba. We suffer from riba in the West. And overseas in the East, there's no what? There's no riba. Many people, they think this, and that's wrong. That's 101% wrong. There's riba in the Middle East, the Far East, the South, the North, just like it is in the what? In the West. And the hadith that states, which is not necessarily an authentic hadith, is not necessarily an authentic hadith as far as the technical science, but as if the meaning is correct. And as if the meaning is irrefutable, as if. That there will come a time in which the riba will spread. And those who don't take it and touch it will be, painted by its dust. That is going to touch you in what? One way or another. You just think about the world today. You go to make Hajj and Umrah, you buy a ticket. How is that ticket? Is it taxes? Is it insured? You have a Hajj group, do you have taxes, fines, fees, etc. Al-Muhim, at the end of the day, is that riba is widespread, just like israf is also what? Widespread. And many people, they think that it's different because the tradition and the culture overseas is different, so therefore the israf is totally different. No, the rules apply. But the details of israf is extremely subjective. It's extremely what? Subjective. Now, I think if we make an example, things become easier. As the ulama of Islam, they say, وَبِالْمِثَالِ يَتَّضِحُ الْمَقَالِ وَبِالْمِثَالِ يَتَّضِحُ الْمَقَالِ. They say everything becomes clear from an example. Let's take two men. Two men, they want to buy a wristwatch. And the wristwatch that they want to buy is, let's say, a presidential day and date Rolex. Depending on the material of the watch, it could be gold, it could be silver, it could be with diamonds, without, etc. But just a basic stainless steel day and date Rolex, presidential. The starting price for that watch is around what? 30,000. Starting price for a basic watch. $30,000 for a watch. Tayyib? And one can come and say that for one man to pay $30,000 for a watch is israf, mubin, clear extravagance. And for another man to pay $30,000 for a watch is normal. Normal. Rather, it could be recommended. Everybody understand this? Now, the opposite of israf, the other extreme is being stingy. Is being what? Stingy, as Allah says in the Quran. Those when they spend, they don't what? Go extreme in extravagance, nor are they tight-fisted. And they're what? Baina dhalika, they have what? A balance between that. Allah mentioned Surah Al-Furqan. Two men, they want to buy a wristwatch. One man, he buys, let's say, a Casio Illuminator watch. A basic model. It's not waterproof, but it's water resistant. Not waterproof, you can't dive or dip it in, but you can make it take a shower with it. It'll still work, it'll become a little foggy. And the watch is going for, let's say, $20, $19.99. For one man, we may say it's permissible and it's normal for him to pay $20 for a wristwatch. And for another man, we may say it's haram. It's haram for him to pay $20 for a wristwatch. Or at least it's disliked. What makes the difference between these two men with these watches? One man is an ambassador to a country. And another man is a brother who sells fruit on the corner. This person who is an ambassador or prime minister, he meets presidents, kings, queens. He has to fly. He's representing the pride of his country. He has to talk with people, make deals, prevent war, do all types of diplomatic things. His appearance, his forte, how he looks, has to be at a certain what? A certain level. And if not, he'll be made fun of. He'll be humiliated. His country will be embarrassed. He may not even be allowed into the place if you see him dressed in a certain way. And the other brother who sells fruit on the corner, his lifestyle, his income is like what? Night and day. But let's say he has $30,000 that he saved up. Or his mother died. His father died. He got it from inheritance. I don't know if he got $30,000. For him to pay that much money for a day and date Rolex, we may say is what? Israf. Haram. La yajuz. That's extravagant. Based off of your income, your lifestyle, you standing on the corner selling fruit with a what? Bling bling. Everybody understand that? But the other one who's an ambassador or this major position, we may say it's not what? It's not haram. It may be recommended because you have a certain income, you have a certain lifestyle, or it may not even be your money. And you're paid to look in a certain what? A certain way. The human psyche, how you present yourself, as you say. I even get on a member, mufti, you don't have a haircut. Every week y'all get refuted. The khutbah was sharp, but your hair wasn't. Your clothes weren't. Your boots weren't. You weren't matching. Your socks were off shade green. You have to present yourself in front of the people. You have to look in a certain what? Certain way. And it has a huge, profound effect on what? On people. How you present yourself. No question about that. So one man spending $30,000 on a watch may be okay, and the other one is clearly what? It's off. One man spending $20 on a watch because he has rent to pay. He has to take care of his 5 children. He has a wife. That's the best that he can spend. He doesn't have to look in a certain way. He's not dapper. He just needs a basic way of keeping time. $20 is a good thing for him. But for the one who's an ambassador, it may be what? You're a miser. You're cheap. To go to a meeting at the UN with a what? A plastic $20 watch on your wrist. Where's your taste? Everybody saying this is disrespectful. Everybody hearing this or not? So the concept of it's subjective from person to person, time to time, place to place. But when it is israf, it is israf. So let's say overseas, how people eat there and how people in America. Custom and culture is the dominant thing. Here, this wedding, this walima or aqiqah, they have whole camel that's slaughtered. Or 3 or 4 sheep on a plate. And his bank account, the money that he has is what? It doesn't harm him what? At the least. Rather, if he fed his guests just rice and beans and a couple chickens, he would be looked at as being someone who insulted his guests. That's not necessarily israf. But in another country, it's a different what? It's a different story. It's a different what? A different story. If you offer someone the head of a goat or the head of a fish, they would look at you as an insult. In other countries, they would look at it as an honor. We gave you the head, the eyes, the tongue, the brain. The flesh from the head is from the most tender flesh you'll eat from a goat. So it depends on the time and the place. It depends on the what? On the time and place. What is needed and what isn't needed. And a very important point is what a person can afford. You have the money, but it doesn't mean that you can actually what? Afford it. Everybody clear on this? But there is no one set rule of what is and what isn't. Because the one principle says that you can take what Allah made for you on earth. Don't make Allah's zina, the beauty of the Allah made, haram. And the other principle tells us about the dunya and the worthlessness of the dunya. And the have zuhud and so on and so forth. وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. So if you're stuck between these 2 principles, the rule is that it's always going to be a what? A seesaw, always. This is a qaida, khudh al-faida. Whenever a person is stuck between 2 major principles supported by kitab and sunnah, it's always going to be a what? It's always going to be a seesaw, and that seesaw is subjective and relative. To me, where I come from, this is normal for you to spend this amount of money on a pair of shoes. Normal. And if you have on beat up, dogged out shoes, you're culturally looked down upon. And to another person, another culture, it's the exact what? Opposite. Wallahu a'lam. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Initials AM from Manchester, UK. Did the Prophet think it was Judgment Day when the eclipse happened?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah tells us in the Quran al-Kareem that no one knows when the hour will be established except for Allah. Nobody. No one knows this. As far as the major signs of the Day of Judgment and the minor signs of the Day of Judgment, then the Prophet ﷺ himself, he's the one who brought those things to us. So did those things take place when there was the eclipse? Was there the Dajjal? Was there the Dabba? Was there the fire? Was there this? Was there that? So it's very difficult to say that the Prophet ﷺ believed and thought that it was the Day of Judgment. Towards the end of time, a major sign, something happening, perhaps a different story. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials GD from Fort Worth, Texas. Assalamu alaikum. I let a brother in Salah who made Salah before I did. He redid the whole Salah. What is the correct thing to do?
If he redid the Salah, whether he made a mistake or not, then he covered his tracks. What's important is, if you're praying behind an imam, you make a mistake, the imam is to bear your mistake. He's to bear your what? Your mistake. That's the asal of that. Wallahu a'lam.
Assalamu alaikum. From Washington, D.C. Initials DK. Are breathable and water permeable nail polish the same? Does it count if you have to rub the nail polish for a couple of seconds in water while making wudu?
With regards to breathable, something that's permeable, etc., the nail polish, toe polish, is it the same? And does it count if you have to rub it for a few seconds for the water to seep in? Al-Muhim is that the water gets to the fingernail. The water gets to the fingernail, no matter what term or name you give it. If the water gets to the fingernail and the cuticles through rinsing it, or you rub it without having to scrub it, then that's the ruling. That's the most important thing. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials OR from George Mason University, Fairfax, Virginia. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. May Allah reward you. What is the ruling on the night prayer where you ask Allah about a thing, i.e., a good sign of marriage? Forgive me for my ignorance.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you and increase us in knowledge. What's important is anything that you want, which is a good thing of this life and in the next, ask Allah for it. وَاسْأَلَ اللَّهَ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Ask Allah from His bounty, Allah tells us. Whether it's at nighttime, in sujood, in the morning, when you give sadaqah, ask Allah to accept the most virtuous act of ibadah that you performed. At-tawassul. Oh Allah, if I did this for your sake, then please give me the sister's hand in marriage, if it's best for me. Wahakadha. What's important is marriage is ibadah, it's worship. And from the things that are pertain or connected to marriage is tawakkul, is putting your trust in Allah, because you don't know what can happen. You can make dua, she can be pious, she can be righteous, she can come from a good family, and she may be a horrible wife. Or you may be a horrible husband for her. Or you're good, but it just doesn't work. You don't know. There's always a gamble in marriage. You're always rolling the dice. You can try your best, come as close as you can, approximate as you can, but there's always a what? A gamble, always. You don't know who that person is until after you live with that person. And you live with that person for years, and then your hearts can change. Things can happen. He cheated on me. She brought me this STI. I got HIV because my wife slept with somebody. Allahu alam. You can't never guarantee that. What's important is you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you hold fast to Allah azza wa jal. There's no regret that you're going to have on a major scale. One way or another, no matter what happens to you. You get divorced, you say alhamdulillah. Wasn't meant to be. You stay married, you say alhamdulillah. The believer who's patient upon difficulty and thankful upon prosperity can never ever lose, as the Prophet ﷺ has told us. So that's the proper attitude to have with regards to marriage. Connect yourself with Allah, you have no worries. It didn't work out, alhamdulillah. It did work out for some time, then we got divorced, you say what? Say alhamdulillah. There's never no major regret like that, because you always what? وَمَنْ يَعْتَصِمْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ هُدِيَ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. He who holds fast to Allah, Allah says he's been guided to the straight path. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials GU from Ottawa. Assalamu alaikum. Which book can you recommend for an Islamic fiqh business book?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. An Islamic fiqh business book. Before you get into the modern day things and the specifics of business, stocks, bonds, interest, the banking system, you have to learn the basics of money in Islam. Very important to learn the general objectives and the aims of the Sharia regarding money and regarding the specific rulings regarding money. Starting off with zakah, then sadaqah, then inheritance, wills, then the chapter of buying and selling, the chapter of interest, the different types of investments, so on and so forth. So before you get into the modern day current things, you have to have a solid foundation of the traditional things. Many people, they want to learn the fiqh of stocks and bonds and 401k and this and that. Can I have a debit card or a credit card or this or that? Is it a late fee or is it interest? Before you get into the modern issues, you have to have a solid foundation of the what? The traditional issues. Many people, they talk or they'll give a lecture or a workshop on stocks and bonds and investing. You ask them a basic question about zakat, they don't know. You ask them a basic question about an impermissible type of selling in this hadith, they don't even know. So that has to be done away with. So before you get into fiqh of Islamic businesses, you have to learn the basics of finances in Islam. The basics of finances in Islam. So take any book that deals with the basic fiqh in a simple ABC manner. That's first and foremost. So مثلا على سبيل المثال, an example, a brief example would be al-fiqh al-muyassar. Okay, fiqh made easy. Taysir al-fiqh, Dr. Salih As-Sadlan, Allah have mercy upon his soul. Translated by Jamal Din Zarabozo many years ago in Colorado. We did some classes on it right here in this masjid. It's an excellent book for a beginner to learn about the basics of fiqh. Read that 2 or 3 times. Lock that down. Then move on to another book in English. Let's say, as an example, Fiqh al-Sunnah of Sayyid Sabiq, for example. Excellent book. And you read the different concepts of buying and selling. Once you get 2 or 3 basic books down packed, then you can move on to some modern day books, which there are many, pertaining to economics and finance, business investment, halal banking, etc. A while back, we made a small little presentation of some of those books. Bidnai ta'ala, if you could kindly remind me, maybe we'll come back and give you another list again to show you some works of some of the things that we have that are specific to the modern day economic or financial rulings. Wallahu a'lam. We'll stop here. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa baraka ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina wa imamina Muhammad.